Hello, welcome back. It is another Facebook Live and I'm excited to be here. Today's topic is going to be transformational vocabulary. What does it mean? How does it affect you? And what can you be doing to change yours? Where is it affecting you where you're not even aware that may be causing you to have more or less of what you want? So if you'd like to share this with somebody else or tag them, go ahead and let us in talking about this. If this just went off, hi Rebecca, thank you for joining me. We're going to talk about what transformational vocabulary looks like and how that affects you and what you can do to change it. So what is transformational vocabulary? Well, there's a lot of times that you may be saying things to yourself and not even realize that it's causing a negative effect. Realize that your body doesn't know the difference from fact or fiction, but we have association to different words that we use, and the way we actually take on these words is with the same emotion we had with the same intensity at the time we first used the word is how things repeat. Let me give you an example. If you know somebody who has road rage and they're driving and then they're in the car and they're like, I'm so angry, and they're getting really frustrated, right? That every time they say the word angry, their whole body gets crazy, they act the way it is, and it might have just been somebody just coming in, driving their car, and they turned over too quickly, and all of a sudden the person's so frustrated they have this road rage and they use this word angry, right? So now all of a sudden they're at home, something is going on, and they don't even realize it, and maybe their husband or wife says something and they say, oh, I'm so angry. And they have the association as if it was that road rage that they were holding on to earlier, that they get really upset and angry and they misdirect that attention to another human being. Now, why does this happen? Is because what we're doing is we have a language, we have words that we're using, and we don't realize that when we use it with such intensity the first time, every time we say that word again, we're going to feel it over and over again as if it happened that first time. So we have to be careful with our vocabulary because we'll be saying things and not even realize it's affecting us. So why is this important? Well, people do it all the time. Think about the words you use right now and write some down. What are some of your common words? I used to say like, I'm so overwhelmed, or I'm frustrated, or I can't believe this is too much. And I'd say things like that, not even realizing I was setting myself up for failure, because every time I said I was overwhelmed, I felt overwhelmed. Every time I said I was frustrated, I couldn't see the forest through the trees, right? So I learned that the language I was using had so many things attached to it, almost like a chain reaction of things tied to each other, that by the time I used the word again, I would feel the same way I felt the first time. Now, if it was a positive word and I was feeling positive emotions and I'm elated or I'm excited, I'm happy, then that's awesome because I want to repeat those feelings. But when we're using words like frustrated or angry or overwhelmed and we keep feeling bad, then why would you want to feel poorly, right? So what you want to do is look at your vocabulary. Are you saying words that are empowering or disempowering? Think about the words you use on a regular basis, because what you'll find is that they say there's 40,000 words that describe our emotions, and most people live in less than a dozen. Now, if you write down words that describe your emotions on a daily basis, are you happy? Are you elated? Are you joyful? Are you peaceful? Are you using words like I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I have no time, I don't like this, or can't even think of the negative ones anymore. But which kind of words are you using? And then what you're going to find is that if you write down 12, studies have shown if you write down 12, if you write down 100, they say most people live in about a dozen words out of 40,000, and 80% of them are negative. So if you're living in negative emotions and your vocabulary is negative, how do you think you're going to feel? You're going to feel negative, right? So it's important to understand the transformational vocabulary you're using is the words you're using are affecting the feelings you're using, which affect your emotions, and emotions are energy in motion. It's how you actually are showing up. So you want to be aware, what words are you using? How are they showing up for you? Are they positive or they're negative? And if they're negative, you want to change them into something positive. Well, what can you do? Well, first, you can just think of what are some positive words. So I just got off the call. I had one of my clients on a call before, and she said, well, I'm so overwhelmed with this. And I said, well, if you weren't overwhelmed, what could you be? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I said, can you be learning? Can you be taking in new information? She said, yeah. And then we were talking about some other things that were going on, and she ended up using other words. Again, very disempowering. I said, well, what else can it be? And as soon as we changed the language from, I felt like I crashed and burned, so what else could it be? She used words like, I kind of feel tired. I go, is tired different than crashed and burned? She says, yes. I go, okay, is that better? Yes. Okay, so we're making progress. It didn't mean that we got rid of the challenge, but now we can address it from a different perspective because we're not using vocabulary that makes us feel like we've already failed and we can't do anything. Deborah, so great to see you here, hon. I miss you. So the idea is that when you look at the vocabulary you're using and you actually get to choose, and here's a big word, you get to choose what you're saying, is look to see what's working and what's not, what's positive and what's not, and if it's not working, change it. Now I'm going to share with you a great app. Write this app down. The app is called Mood Meter. It's Mood Meter. It was made by some people in Yale, at Yale University, that actually was taking words where you can actually start posting your emotions. And when you post emotions, whether it's optimistic or pessimistic or whatever the case is, if you're pessimistic, it gives you a chance to change the words, gives you a new vocabulary to work with, and then it even gives you suggestions on other things you can do to change your emotions. So transformational vocabulary has to do what you're saying, how those emotions affect you, how you react or respond for them. Now here's another thing. I like to call it an energy triangle. When you're sitting there and you're using language that's just empowering, we can change it in a heartbeat, literally in a heartbeat like that. So I'm going to share with you that when you're disempowered, first thing I want you to do is change your vocabulary, right? Change your vocabulary. How do you do that? I call this the energy triangle. Think about this as your questions, the questions you're asking yourself, like a little question mark, right? So if the energy triangle is the first thing is our language and here's a little question mark, what are we asking ourselves? What are we saying to ourselves? What else could this mean? And maybe we can change that, right? The other thing is to move your body. By moving your body, you can change any emotion. And again, energy in motion is what emotion is. Moving your body will change how you feel about any situation. And the last thing is wherever you're putting your direction and your energy and your focus is where this energy will flow. So we look at it as changing the question, changing our focus, maybe pointing, so you remember to point somewhere else, so you can look somewhere else and not focus on what's wrong, and moving your body will change your emotions, will also change your transformational vocabulary. Because when you're feeling better about yourself, you're not going to be saying these silly words that aren't serving you. You'll find something more resourceful. Hopefully this was interesting and you learned something new. You know all about the energy triangle, right? Pointing, changing direction, asking better questions, moving your body, changing your language from just empowering words to empowering words, realizing that if your words that you're using are not resourceful, you need to look at more resourceful ones, increase your vocabulary, change your life. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love you. See you later.